It's now time for the big story. We do this at 7:05 every weekday morning, and this morning I'll be talking in a moment's time with Irwine Clare. He's managing director of New York-based Caribbean Immigration Services, and you must have heard by now. We have been talking about it since we signed on this morning. The U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agency, ICE, they conducted an operation in western and central and northern New York recently, arresting 133 illegal immigrants, including Caribbean nationals from Trinidad and Tobago, the Dom Rep, and other areas of the region. The operation, which took place between March 24 and 28, we understand it targeted criminal, illegal immigration offenders and other immigration violators. Well, we want to get into this story, and the best person I could think of to talk with is my good friend Irwine Clare, who is on with us right now. Good morning, Irwine. How are you, my brother?
Good morning, Richie B, and to your listeners all over the world. I say good morning. Blessings from Jamaica, New York.
That's where you find him. I know this is a weekend that we wouldn't find you outside of New York, because I think it's a big weekend for you and the Team Jamaica Bickle crew. Am I right?
That is so correct. Come Sunday is our Labor of Love luncheon gala. Black tie, gowns, and sneakers 3.1 representing 31st anniversary of Team Jamaica Bickle. And this event, Richie B and listeners, is our major fundraiser. As you know, it takes cash to care. So we have to ensure that in preparing for our athletes, our ambassadors, that we have the necessities in place. And so we have a very active group of volunteers from all strata of professional disciplines who have dedicated their times over the past couple of months to host this event come Sunday, where we'll have as guest speaker Sandra Bronson. That's Jalen Bronson from the New York Knicks mom, who's the head of his foundation as a guest speaker. And our honored guest, as we always seek to do in honoring Olympians, those who are no longer participating but are in capacities where they continue their legacies and continue their contribution to sports in general. We'll be honoring Dr. Nelson Christian Stokes.
Oh.
So we're looking forward to that. And of course, I can tell you now that a very special person of ours, because VP Records provides the musical component for the event. We don't normally advertise these things, but seeing that I'm speaking to my friend,
yes,
I can share this with you.
Breaking news.
We'll be having the icon King Jammies passing through.
What?
Do a little stint.
All right.
And Johnny Osborne, and we'll be using that segment to uplift and celebrate the legacy of Coco T, who was a great friend of Team Jamaica Bickle. So, that's a kind of taste for the guests coming, so they don't know Richie. So please don't tell them.
I won't tell them at all. I won't tell them. But that sounds really good, and I hope it goes down well. And as you said, if I were going to be attending, I'd have to be in my black tie and my sneakers, right?
Yeah, man, but you do that well, and I know you'd probably wear your fedora and all that.
Oh, yeah, bring it off well. All right, let's move on to the meat of the matter, Irwine, because it seems to me that New York was targeted recently by ICE, and a number of areas were corralled. Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, Albany, Rouse's Point, Massena, all of these areas were targeted, it seems, by ICE. Do you think there were any particular reasons why those areas were targeted?
Let me put some things in perspective. And as you speak of those areas, also realize that there are border areas to Canada. And when you look at the individuals who are involved in here, obviously they would have been in the criminal justice system, so there are warrants for them, and their whereabouts, of course, would have been monitored. Mm-hmm. But what I'd like to just share with our community, from where we sit, what is happening now and what you see in this article is nothing new. These are standard operating procedures. Persons who commit crime in the United States, non-citizens who commit crime in the United States, from I have been here, have always been targeted for deportation. That is the rules. The question or the challenge we have now is that because of the heightened situation we find ourselves in, an administration who came in to purge the system of undocumented immigrants, supposedly initially with those who commit crime, but have now expanded the dragnet due to the fact that the uptake has not been as strong as they would have expected. So there is an onslaught, not just moving to remove people, but also how it is publicized. Mm-hmm. You see, part of the missive here is that the more you speak on something, as we have learned over the past 15 years, 10, 12 years, the more you speak on something is the bigger the something becomes. So I'm not saying that this is a story of nothing. I'm just saying that this is a story that is standard, status quo. In other words, these raids and stuff like that are normalcies. And yes, there is an uptick in the whole presence of ICE in our community. But as far as the numbers go in this situation, Richie B, this could have taken place last year. Nobody ever written about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I get the point. Now, for all of these, 133 persons that were rounded up, sent back home, what can you tell us about, first of all...
Well, we would say rounded up to be sent back home, because I gather their due process.
Okay.
And these folks would have some legal opportunities to defend themselves. Mm-hmm. In most cases, we know that the recent legislation that the Trump has used, is the Wartime Act to remove aliens, could probably play a key role here. But there are some opportunities for them, some due right process that they could still exercise.
So explain a little bit more about the kind of support that these Caribbean nationals can actually access even before they are sent home, because you're saying that some might have a fighting chance.
Yeah. Yes, because you see the Caribbean nationals, caught up in situations, and we have this too. They still have the opportunity to get their attorneys to defend them. But you must remember too that it is not just easy to say that, because the costs in some cases are prohibitive. Legal services in matters of that sort can be prohibitive, and normally the families who are caught up in these are families who in most cases do not have the ability to hire the kind of legal team to defend your loved one caught up in situations like this. So again, we go back to the whole situation that prevention is better than cure. And there are persons, for whatever reasons, become involved in the criminal justice system. I find it difficult at that point, even as community-based organization, looking at all the things that we have to do to defend persons who purposely go out there and commit heinous crimes, for persons who are caught up in the system due to what we say now, bureaucratic snafu, or from a civil side of immigration. Mm-hmm. Then yes, there's significant advocacy there. It's hard, but it's an easier sell than those who have committed heinous crimes. You just can't defend that, but the law provides for them due process.
Mm-hmm. No, Irwine, I want to spend a little bit more time talking, since we have so many Caribbean nationals listening to us right now. At this point in time, what would you say are some of the current immigration policies that are in fact impacting and affecting Caribbean nationals in the United States?
Well, one jumps out is the first piece of legislation that was enacted in this Congress as relates to immigration. That's the Laken-Riley Act. The Laken-Riley Act now makes a common theft by a non-citizen could place them in the crosshairs of removal. It widens the scope as to how a person could get caught up in the dragnet of removal processes. I say to persons who are green card holders, and I've always said this, this on your program here as well, mm-hmm. that if you are a green card holder in the United States today and you qualify for citizenship and you have concern, go out and apply for your citizenship, as long as you've never been arrested. And if you've been arrested, I say speak to your attorney before you make any move, before you apply for citizenship and before you even travel. Because although you may have traveled last year with that known fact of arrest, this year is different, I just mentioned the Lakeland Riley Act could turn that upside down. So I always say to folks, if you have any inclination that you have concerns about your criminal background, speak to your attorney. Because you see, when you come back into the United States on your green card and they run the green card, it's your criminal history that comes up. And they'll be looking to see if there is an arrest. And that could put you at risk. Mm-hmm. The other thing I say to folks, though, and this is kind of delving into the whole immigration process here, Richie. And I try to break it down in layperson's terms.
Cool.
Let's say Richie B fall in love with a United States citizen and got married. All right? For whatever reasons, something happened. It never went through. It was denied. There's a normalcy here that the immigration, USCIS will send a letter that says you have 30 days to voluntarily depart. Technically, you're deporting yourself. Mm-hmm. There are people, however, that can, within a short period of time, could have removed themselves from that situation. They may have a child who's a citizen over 21 now qualifies to petition for them. Petitioned for them, and they got their green card. Last year they traveled, they had no problem. But this year they traveled. That situation there, that voluntary departure, which was on your record and was not removed, could become problematic for you. Mm. So we say to people who have had any challenges in immigration, though they may travel last year and plan to travel this year, make an appointment. See your immigration attorney, just to make sure you're okay. You know, it's better to err on the side of caution. Mm-hmm. And when you do make your appointment to see your immigration attorney, Rich, and I have to say this as a community activist, I encourage you, as best as you can, reach out to your family. And I say your family. We come to the United States and we work hard and send our children to school to become lawyers and doctors and teachers. Use professionals from within our community.
Yes. Because
there's another side to this whole immigration stuff, Richie. This is a side where the community becomes poorer in these times when we are chasing immigration benefits, because too many people within our community are going to the other community to spend hard-earned dollars.
Yes.
You know, so even as we lobby for change and all that, we also have to lobby for the potency to remain in our community economically. Mm-hmm. We can't have all our dollars running out the community, because then we may come back to scarcity that is even more challenging.
Depleting,
so let's also support the community that you expect the community to support you.
Absolutely. That's a very strong point. Now, through your Caribbean Immigrants service company, are you in any way interacting with ICE and or making intervention on anyone in particular who might have been impacted?
No. I have no, and I want to make this categorically clear because this could be damaging to my reputation. I have no connection to ICE, and I don't think that any civil or non-governmental organization have that privilege, and I don't know why they'd want to have a connection with ICE. But the point is that through political representation and to our legislators, yes, that's how you would make connection. You know, it's not advisable to make any other connection. It's not a good public relations stint as well. But at the same token, though, we do have access to our elected officials to voice our concerns, to raise issues to them, and then they have the ability to make that connect.
Mm-hmm. So for those persons listening now, many family members who might have been impacted, a member might be arrested by ICE. What would you say would be the first order of business today?
Well, they have to seek ways to get legal representation. Mm-hmm. That's what it comes down to, because that's what they'll need. You know, because again, depending on the circumstances, Richie, there are legitimate criminal activities. In some cases, they aren't. So making connection to legal representation to your family structures, and that's why we all say to people too, that people who have challenge immigration situations, make sure your documents are in order. Make sure there's surrogacy about your children and what happens if you don't want to. And I'm not going to make any apologies for people who don't prepare. You darn well know your situation. You must adhere to rules and regulations. It relates to how you prepare. So if you have $1 million in the bank, make sure somebody else who you trust have access to it. You know, if you have, make sure you know where your birth certificate, somebody else knows where your birth certificate and your passport, and the fact that you're on medication, and the fact that you have children and all of that. These are the times you put those kind of plans in place. We have to act responsible.
Yeah.
That's what the nature of the game is.
Changing times.
I've always said to persons that we are a community that is very much in everybody else's business and sometimes don't spend enough time on our own business. You know? Yeah. So yeah, these are the hard messages, we call it now the tough love that you have to deploy. This is real.
Yeah. Harsh as it is, it's harsh realities, and I tell you,
because you know, Rich, at the end of the day, individuals make decisions to remain in the United States. So if you make that decision, these are the consequences. These are what comes with it. This is Caesar's law now. We have to deal with it. Am I happy camper here? No, I'm not. But I can't give misreadings and misgivings and feelings to make someone feel just to make them feel good. Not in the feel good business. It's the reality.
Reality.
I want to make sure that people have the opportunity to make the best decisions in their best interest and their families.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's free advice coming at you. Irwine, I want to thank you so much for the information you shared with us. I wish you well with the event for Team Jamaica Biggle this weekend, and we look forward to the next opportunity to have a conversation with you. Take care, my bro. All the best.